Dan Moskal here, and we are looking at step 9, if I remember correctly. Yep, step 9 here with writing your book, and we're going to pull up one of my drafts here in just a second. Uh, and we're talking about the length of writing your book. So the average book, according to the research I did, is 50,000 words. Um, you probably noticed that most of the books you purchase have a typical page range of about 200 pages. And I personally believe this is in part to be on bookshelves because if you notice, if you just take a look, I take a look at some of my books, even the books that are about 200 pages, the size of them vary dramatically. I mean, Napoleon Hill has books that are seemingly 4 by 6 inches tall with 200 pages. Napoleon Hill, one of my greatest teachers and most helpful people to me. But George Clason, the author of The Richest Man in Babylon, a book that's lived on forever and ever and ever, I guarantee you that is way less than 50,000 words. And one of the things that you really need to avoid, especially in our new economy and the way publishing is turning, like brevity is a good thing. You should not include filler information. You can almost always find filler information in almost every books. Typically for me, unless it's a really, really good book, when I hit these filler information spots, I'll put the book down to never pick it up again. You want people to consume your information, so avoid filler information, avoid the boring stuff. Don't don't really I mean, the publishing industry has changed so much. This 50,000 words, don't write to just hit these benchmark numbers or anything. Put the relevant information in there. If your book is shorter, some of the best books I own that are worth infinitely more money than I paid are much shorter. I mean, George Clason's book's like 150 pages, and that's teaching me how to be rich, one of the most important things to every individual. Milo Frank has a book, How to Get Your Point Across in 30 Seconds or Less. And that book's like 120 pages with big margins and big spaces. And there's ways and tactics and acceptable publishing tactics you can use. And we'll look at more of this in the publishing videos, especially with self-publishing. But where you can take a book of 20,000 words and turn it into 200 pages, along with adding illustrations, graphic enhancements. There's all sorts of little ways, margins, the size of your book, all sorts of ways you can increase the size and increase the number of pages, and really avoid filler information. I mean, you really want to speak to people. You don't want to just be writing words in there for the sake of it. Even if you have a publisher contract that is paying you per word, you want to keep your audience engaged and interested. And one of the books we're working on here, this is still the really the initial first draft, but we're talking about what is affiliate marketing. We've been working with affiliate marketing in this industry. It's been our primary source of income since 2006, and that's almost, what's that, about 8 years or something. There's no way on earth or way anybody would read a book that was 50,000 words. Period. Currently, our book is under 12,000 words, and we are still, going through the process. I'm sure it's going to probably be closer to at a minimum of 15,000 words, because the second section we really have to do some work on still, just to kind of work out the flow of it and make sure we have everything in it and together. If you check out the other videos in this series of writing your book, you'll see how we went about it. But this is one topic where we could literally talk about any one of these chapters. We could probably find and write 50,000 words about any one of these specific subjects easily, but nobody's going to be interested, entertained, or engaged in those tiny little nuggets that were of value. People aren't going to read 10,000 or 50 pages to find 3 sentences of value. Don't please think about when you're reading books. You can find and see these filler information and these filler parts. Avoid that because it turns your audience off. Instead, tell them what they really need to know and share, personal stories of yourself. But like I said, we're at less than 12,000 words right now, and we'll probably be closer to 15,000, maybe even 20,000 by the time we finish. And there's all sorts of ways that many folks will add different things. One of the things we're going to add, and this isn't to make it longer, but this will be just to really kind of help people get started, because one of the big things we learned from our research was a lot of people are looking for help and kind of a step-by-step guide to getting started, and that's one of the first sections we talk about and go through. So at the end of each chapter we might create a couple little bullet points here, just like, all right, so these are the 3 things you need to do. Here's the next 3 things you need to do at the end of this chapter, kind of little sections, if that makes sense, at the end of each chapter. But please don't try and write 50,000 words, especially if your subject, some subjects you don't need 50,000 words ever. And if you use 50,000 words, you won't have too many people listening to you, period. Instead, and especially with today, with our increasing demand for speed, and giving it to people now and giving it to me now and delivering it to me now, I want brevity. If you have a short book that's worth its weight, and is valuable to me, I guarantee I'll buy your next 5 books or your next 20 books. But, brevity is very key, very essential. I actually read a book just not too long ago as a gift from a very close friend, and it was The Law of Happiness by a gentleman that's written, I believe it was I think it was his 19th book. It's a good book, and it was the size of, it was maybe a 5 by 8 book, maybe, or a 5 by 6 book. It was a tiny hardcover book. It was being sold for $20, and I think it was probably shorter than this book, than the 12,000 words. And that guy's written 19 other books. It's important to talk to your audience and talk to them and be bereft. Give them the details if there are some details, and different topics and subjects will require different lengths and stuff. But if you can get people interested in your book of 20,000 words, they'll certainly be interested in your next book of 20,000 words, and that'll give you 2 opportunities rather than try and cram it all into one book and hit that, quote, average 50,000 words. I mean, look at some of Fyodor Dostoevsky's books. I doubt I said his name right. Those are great books, but they're really difficult to get through, in part because they are so long. Think about it too. The longer your book really it can turn people off. So you want your book to be not just purchased, but you also want people to read it and then benefit from it. Like, I would much rather people even just not even read every word in this book, but to actually use it, and if they start and when they start earning some money, then they can go back and read it again, or read every word then, or something. Like, my big goal is to get people to consume it and to use it. And granted, this is a how-to book. If you're writing a novel, if nothing else, just consume it. You can always write 2 or 3 or 12 companion books. I'm just trying to think, the Hardy Boy books, or what if Harry Potter, every single one of those books was jammed into one? I don't think it would be as successful or do very well, and it certainly wouldn't be able to create as much revenue if all of that was just one book or one movie, and it'd be one really, really long book and or movie. So be bereft, include what needs to be included, don't leave things out, but don't just put stuff in your book for the sake of hitting any arbitrary benchmark numbers. Please, please, please avoid that. And if you visit danmoskeluniversity.com and sign up for our online marketing newsletter, we're going to give you a free copy of our most recent book, Email Marketing That Works, so you don't have to, in the Kindle format, where we've got 2 other books over at Amazon, How to Create a Website Easy Button, and SEO Training Manual, 10 Golden Steps to Shower and Search Engine Traffic. We're also at Barnes & Noble, also at audible.com, and cool little thing is we're in iTunes too. I'll show you all of this stuff if you're interested in how to do it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, please, and you'll get the updates and the videos of our our publishing process here. In the very next few days, we're publishing this book. Plan is before Thanksgiving, but it might even just be before the end of the month. We want to do it before the end of the month, but we'd really like to get it squared away before Thanksgiving here. So we're going to get through and work on the next step, and the next video coming up, we're probably going to be starting to talk about our title, because we really haven't even titled this, and we'll probably start, well, very soon we'll go through the formatting. I'll probably put the formatting stuff in the actual publishing part of your books. So subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. Please leave any specific questions, comments, or concerns below. Please visit danmoscoliuniversity.com and subscribe for our free online marketing tips newsletter. And you can check out our books over at Amazon. We're going to give you a free copy of this book, Email Marketing That Works, so you don't have to on the Kindle, and you can get that even if you don't have the Kindle. You can also find our books at Barnes & Noble, Audible.com, and Amazon.com, and iTunes, of course. So have a great afternoon or night, and looking forward to talking to you again soon.